Hey, what's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 2017 career mode, episode number 68 today for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Season 4. Now, you can see, changing out our engine components, we've actually really eked out our first internal combustion engine to the point where it's basically unusable now in red. So we've had to use column 2 for our internal combustion engine. Everything else, we're able to still use column 1 for practice at least, and then in quali and then in the race, obviously, we have to move it to column 2. So at some point, that will have to probably be kind of altered a little bit and kind of tackled in terms of a solution, and that may just be this weekend, of course, as in the past this has been the race to definitely take an engine penalty. We did not do it in Season 3 last season because we actually had some really decent pace, and at the time I thought I could maybe do pretty damn good, but this time round it's going to be a lot like Season 2 and Season 1, where I think it really will be worth us to take the engine penalty now. In the near future, I don't think we're going to be doing too many reliability upgrades. I really want to keep on pushing the performance of this car, as we're pretty much in a very tight title fight with Sebastian Vettel and Nico Hülkenberg. So reliability is not really something I'm looking at. It's more so instant impact, instant success this season, and so to do that I really basically have to kind of ignore reliability upgrades. So we hop into qualifying then. We actually start off on intermediate, so this will be kind of good actually for us, because I think we can go a little bit better around this circuit on intermediates compared to the dry conditions, at least in the Red Bull car. Obviously the Red Bull in general, it's meant to be a little bit better than most cars on the intermediates, obviously being a very good chassis in real life. So you can see we're just going through the laps. We'll do multiple laps in Q1 actually, so we skip ahead just down that long main straight, and at this point we had already done one lap. That was our second lap, and that improved our time up to P11. Ricciardo going well on P5, but the more important thing is obviously gets us into Q2, and then here we are in Q2 on the super soft tyres. Of course, no point doing the kind of alternate strategy in qualifying this time around like the Russian Grand Prix. It's just a one-stop, like Monaco. It's just a one-stop race, so there's no point kind of going alternate. You may as well qualify on the fastest tyre in Q2, which of course will be the tyre that you start on during the race if it's all dry, and looking at the forecast, I believe it should all be dry. But getting back to my original point, unless I'm qualifying in the top 4 or even the top 3, really, honestly, in Q3, I think I definitely will be taking an engine penalty this race. So we'll take an entire column, which will be column 5, and then we'll start from the back of the grid. We'll swap in the engine components back in, basically, and then we'll have that as a nice safety net towards the end of the season, and we'll see how it goes. But, you must say kind of how the engine wear has been going. We may even need a 6th column, to be honest. It may be as bad as it was in Season 1, really, which would be quite kind of surprising to be back there, because I haven't really had to deal with reliability in that kind of way since Season 1 in the Toro Rosso days. But you can see we do thankfully make it into Q3. It took a second flying lap, actually, and a huge tow from that Haas car you saw of, I think it was Grosjean, if I remember. I can't really remember which name tag that was, but yeah, a huge tow off the Haas really helped out. Obviously in Season 3 in the race, the tow around here was so OP, and then qualifying that definitely helped us, because as we move into Q3 and we come across the line for our first flying lap, it's not an amazing lap time. We're down in P10 then by the time we come through for our second flying lap. We have gained a significant amount of time on our second flying lap then, around here, Baku especially, as well as other circuits. It's been the case many times that I can just find a bit more time if I'm actually aiming for a delta time rather than just going blankly stabbing into the dark. But you can see it is only measly P9. Really a disappointing qualifying then from us. Ricciardo, I mean, not much better, P6, but in terms of lap time, a lot better there. But you can see the entire top 10 was really close, all within just about a second there. So very competitive field in Season 4 indeed. But you can see now, confirmation here, we are going to take that 5th column, and we're going to get a whole fresh column of engine components. But then you can see we're going to swap them all back in, as then there's no point using the fresh components straight away, even though we are starting from the back. As I said, this is pretty much quote-unquote throwaway race in terms of like it was in Season 2 and Season 1. Here's hoping though, like Season 2, maybe a miracle can happen, like another Baku Castle Crash Classic, and maybe we can gain some positions that way. If not, it's going to be pretty tough, I think, in this Red Bull car. I mean, we're pretty slippery in slipstream, but without slipstream, it's going to be tough. So really, it's all going to be about all about that opening lap, and to see how many positions we can get up, and if we're kind of not too far back from the top pack then that are going to be getting away from us, obviously, naturally, if we're not in their slipstream. So we're going to go to the full grid then, and then we're going to check out how we can go.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hülkenberg, Bottas, Kimi Raikkonen and Ricciardo, Ocon, Perez, Sainz and Jolyon Palmer, Grosjean, Massa, Kevin Magnussen and Stroll, Wehrlein, Alonso, Marcus Ericsson and Stoffel van Dorn. A Red Bull and Daniel Kvyat completes the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Right, so here we are in our staple position at Baku. I mean, barring last season, we're pretty much near enough our staple position here at around Azerbaijan. You can see there was a bit of a weird glitch on the grid sequence that said I was 19th, but I definitely am last place in 20th. But you can see that standard one stop there, starting on the compound I actually qualified in, because of course I did actually make it into Q3, so I still have to start on that set of super soft tyres. But then going to the softs, filling up on fuel as per usual to try and use some rich mix, but not too much, obviously, as we're quite fuel efficient in this new Red Bull car of ours in Season 4. So here we go to 5 red lights then for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Round number 8 of Season 4 is underway, and it is going to have to be a pretty committed first lap for us. We need to try and dispatch as many cars as we can very quickly in these opening laps. So down the inside of 4 cars, then the 2 Saubers and the 2 McLarens. Ericsson putting up a little bit of a fight on the exit of turn 1, but we should get that, and we're up into P16. And indeed, we actually sent it down the inside then of Lance Stroll, who in stark contrast to the real-life 2017 Grand Prix is going very, very slowly indeed, and just caught napping there on the entry to turn 2. And now we'll chase after, I think, the Russian man in the Toro Rosso, Daniel Kvyat, who's been held up a little bit behind Roman Grosjean. There's 2 cars go side by side, Massa and the other Haas, I think that is, of Kevin Magnussen. We try and duck to the other side of the track, then to the inside of the Toro Rosso, but not able to make it work. We lose some traction there, and he's actually got the pace to keep up with us then through the next corner, again to the inside, again trying a switchback move, not working out. We're just not getting the traction, the punch I need to send it down the inside. Maybe this time around, third time lucky this will be, to the inside right before the castle section, so I need to get this done, otherwise we're not going side by side through the castle section. Definitely not going to happen, and it doesn't get done, and he's still ahead of us. So this is literally the opposite of what I needed. I literally went on so much about us needing to get away well on lap 1, dispatch cars, and we can't lose the top pack, and that's exactly what we're doing, and exactly what the sister junior team member of Daniel Kvyat is doing to us, and that's going to be really, really annoying. So I'm hoping that I can maybe send a little word to Helmut Marko later on off this race, because that was really not helpful from our so-called junior team, holding us up there for an entire lap. But we do get past eventually in slipstream, but then we do the exact same thing with Grosjean there, held up through the castle section, unable to overtake him. Of course, we don't have anything to use against the Haas in terms of the team radio to anyone. We just have to make this overtake work, and so we're up into rich mix now as we go through the complex of left-handers to the inside now for the final left here. Very tricky break zone anyway, besides trying to overtake a car just alone, just trying to navigate that by yourself, it's tricky enough. But we do manage it, and we just about squeeze through into P13 there. Had to leave some room for Grosjean on the exit then, but eventually after poking his nose in to try and defend, it was no use for him. So now we move on to the end of lap 3 in the same section now as we swing through the, I guess, S section really. I mean, it's not really a curved S, but you can call it one, I guess, as we sling on to then the back straight, and it's just a long straight. Time for us to really relax, actually. Just open the DRS then, rich mix is flowing, and hopefully just wait for the overtake to happen here, as now Magnussen's going to go overtake Sainz. We're going to overtake Carlos as well, and now we're going to try and send it down the inside of Kevin if we can into turn 1 onto lap 4. A little bit of contact was made there, but we had the corner, I feel, to the inside. We cut him off on the exit, and we're up into P11, and you can see in P10 up ahead is Daniel Ricciardo. So we've already caught up, well, not already, we're not caught up to him, but we can already see Daniel Ricciardo. So from here on out, it may be a bit of a tougher time to move up the order now, as that's where the pace of the car looks to be is now. Meanwhile, we look at a replay now of the 2 Ferraris fighting away. It's going to be Kimi Raikkonen trying to take second place off Sebastian Vettel. At this point, you can't see him anywhere, but Hamilton is actually the one leading this race, and he's dominating it in a really, really big fashion. Meanwhile, the 2 Force Indies go side by side, and also Felipe Massa looks to overtake Jolyon Palmer, I think that is, as meanwhile up ahead, Hülkenberg you can see ahead of those 2 squabbling Force Indies, as one of them has to concede a position in turn 1, but that is Williams of Massa ahead of Palmer then, but both runners going decently enough, but not as decent as Lewis Hamilton, as I mentioned. wasn't even in that panning shot then of the two Ferrari cars battling for second place. Meanwhile, we cut back to our POV onto lap 5 now. Magnussen down the inside. Sainz was slipstreaming us as well, and we just about make the corner, but in doing so, Magnussen does overtake us, so we went far too deep into there. I was kind of forced going too deep, as I was kind of scared of Magnussen just doing me on the brakes to the inside, and in the end, it didn't really matter. He kind of spooked me off the circuit then, and so we're back down the order behind that Haas car. Meanwhile, you can see the Force India at the moment is ahead of the Renault of Hulkenberg for now. So I think that's Perez. But you can see there is Raikkonen. Bottas now has overtaken Vettel, actually. So Vettel dropped down to P4. And then actually, as we move on now, Bottas, with all the slipstream and speed in the world from that Mercedes engine, right at the end of the straight, manages to maybe make a move around the outside. Not quite. Kimi puts up a fight, gets the shoulders out for his fellow countryman, the other Finn in the Mercedes car, and Raikkonen for now keeps P2. But you can see quite literally there is Hamilton for the first time we've seen him now in this race, and he's got quite a sizable gap. And although it may become a 1-2 for Mercedes, and then Bottas may look to chase after Hamilton, it looks like the Mercedes cars, as you would imagine, have some very, very decent pace around here at Azerbaijan. But Kimi Raikkonen, for now, doing a pretty fabulous job, actually, keeping P2 then. He's still ahead, and there's Vettel, and then the Force India, and they're not too far behind is Hulkenberg. So those cars all rather close, and the same can be really said for Ricciardo and Massa now. So Ricciardo has dispatched the other Force India, it looks like, potentially, I think that is, and now he's going to try and overtake Massa if he can, and he's just good about to do it around the outside. Yes, he can. Good job, son, good job. And he's up into what will now be P9 or maybe even P8, actually, as we've kind of missed where the second Force India has gone in this race. Meanwhile, though, on lap 7, we are in P12, chasing back down Kevin Magnussen just to try and re-overtake him for what wouldn't even be points-paying positions. It would just be P11. Here we go, round the left-hand side, Rich Mix, and we are going to have DRS, but we make the overtake even before the DRS, obviously using the Red Bull downforce, actually, to kind of, you know, push the car faster through that S section. Does give us a bit of a better slingshot then, but at the moment it looks like this is pretty much where the pace of the car is, and we're going to have to hope for some strategic miracles perhaps to try and make some more moves in this race. Of course, really in the first 7 rounds our car has been performing amazingly, and really this is the first time where the Red Bull's starting to show the struggles that it showed back in season 3, but up till now it's been pretty damn fantastic. Obviously we're still leading the Drivers' Championship at this stage, so it's been pretty damn good to us. So I guess at some point it had to come to a bit of an end in terms of this kind of bogey race for us, as now Vettel is back down the inside of that Mercedes car of Valtteri Bottas. So that is going to be Ferrari 2-3 for now, and then you got Nico Hulkenberg now looking to overtake. I think he's got him in a straight line. He's got the Mercedes car, so Hulkenberg and Renault going very well indeed, and Bottas chooses that opportunity to peel to the pits. So Hulkenberg up into P4, and look at that, he's not too far off the two Ferrari cars then in P2 and P3. So Hulkenberg looking very, very good. Obviously last race is race winner, so he's got some momentum under his belt. But we come into the pit lane then for our one and only pit stop, then onto a set of soft tyres, and we'll be going to the end of this Grand Prix. And so because the race strategy here at Azerbaijan is so linear with the one stop, like it was at Russia and Monaco, we're going to kind of have to hope for maybe some battling up ahead if cars are going side by side in the S section or just battling down the straight. Hopefully they're going to be holding each other up and we can try and gain some time that way. Otherwise we may be in a bit of no man's land. It looks like we're kind of, you know, just about keeping ahead of Magnussen, but we just don't have enough pace to catch up then to the rest of the top 10, as now we move into lap 12 into turn 1 and we're up into P13. Massa is the next car ahead. Yellow flags though. Oh, hey, there's a car on the wall. It's Sergio Perez. He is in the wall, and that's maybe one of the little miracles we're hoping for then. So 1 free position, and let's have a look at what went on here. So Sergio Perez in the wall at turn 2, the same place where the Force Indies actually nearly made some contact there, or did actually make some contact in Azerbaijan in the real life Grand Prix. But you can see here it's the Williams being overtaken by the Mercedes car. Then Perez fancies his chances as Vettel locked up quite badly into turn 1, but Perez down the inside of the Williams car, and so he finds himself tucked up right behind Valtteri Bottas as cars come out the pit lane. Then the Renault comes out of Jolyon Palmer, I think it swipes across a little bit, and Perez is locked up badly, and that's him into the wall. So that's exactly what happened there. He just locked up and went into the wall, but it kind of looked like almost Palmer here. Did he make any contact? It kind of maybe looked like there was some contact. No, actually, I don't think there was. I'm going to give Palmer the benefit of the doubt, actually. There was no contact. Maybe like the tiniest, maybe like a pixel worth of contact there, but in all honesty, it looks like Perez has just overcooked that. He got kind of flustered by maybe seeing Palmer in his mirrors on the left there. So, yeah, very odd. So, anyway, we can see now the running order then. Hamilton on medium tyres ahead of the two Ferrari cars on soft tyres then. And Bottas also on mediums just ahead of Nico Hülkenberg. So, the two Mercedes cars clearly not thinking they can take the soft tyre to the end of the race. And now that may hinder them as now Hülkenberg goes down the inside of Bottas. And Bottas tries to squeeze him towards the curbing. But it's not going to be any use. Hülkenberg gets the elbows out and he's up the order, and Palmer, you can see in the background, is not too far off as well. So the two Renaults going pretty well. You can say a lot of the cars going well against the Mercedes cars now, perhaps due to the soft to medium tyre compound. I think maybe Mercedes may regret choosing the medium compound to go on to in this second stint. But now, oh no, Bottas! Oh, Bottas is out of the Grand Prix, going very slowly. We've gained a free position. That was the yellow flags in the third sector, and we're up into P8. So Bottas, after being overtaken by Hülkenberg, is now out of this Grand Prix seemingly, or just going very, very slowly indeed with an issue. And let's look at what happened here. So it looks like to be, oh, it's a punch. Oh, Hülkenberg has smashed the back of Bottas. It's a puncher, right rear puncher. Now, I'm pretty sure that puncher happened before the contact was made with Hülkenberg, but Hülkenberg has to come into the pits now. That's so unfortunate for him. He was running in a fabulous, what would be P4 there, and maybe looked like they had to have the pace to maybe catch the Ferraris for a podium, but now he's had to make an extra pit stop, so we'll gain another free position then, and we're up into P7 at the moment, but that will be a free position on Hülkenberg as well. Now, once again, on lap 17 now, with 9 laps to go, 8 laps to go as we come across the line for lap 18. Magnussen is back past us now, up into P7, so, you know, many things have happened in this race, but one thing that hasn't changed is myself and Magnussen pretty much stuck together in this Grand Prix. He's kind of, you know, the Ferrari engine pace is counteracting any kind of pace I can find in Sector 2 and Sector 3 through the corners, and so we move on to lap 19 from 18 then, and still behind Magnussen, but now we're ever closer in Sector 3, as well as Carlos Sainz actually, so all three of us really have been stuck together this entire race, and so hopefully we can try and get past. You can see we are on low fuel then, we're having to move to lean mix now down the straight to try and bring back that fuel delta on the heads-up display, and obviously with DRS and slipstream here, we can afford to be in lean mix and probably still make this overtake work, as Magnussen actually pulls into the pit lane then for an extra pit stop then. So he's doing a 2-stop then, probably can't take the soft tyres to the end of the race. Obviously the Haas maybe hasn't done too many upgrades on its tyre wear then, and so we're in P7 now, and meanwhile for the top flight of the race, this is going to be Kimi Raikkonen making a move on Lewis Hamilton. This is, remember, because Bottas is already down the order, so this is Hamilton's Mercedes, and so Raikkonen is into the lead of this Grand Prix. So like I said, the Mercedes cars both were on medium tyres. Now only Hamilton has Bottas made a pit stop, but now he's been overtaken by both Ferraris, and now it's a 1-2 for Ferrari on those soft tyres. So, you know, unlike real life, Mercedes have made a bit of a poor call on the tyre strategy, and, you know, their kind of wackier strategy for going on the harder tyres this time hasn't worked out, whereas many times in real life, it's been the kind of better strategy for them, a la kind of 2017 Belgium Grand Prix, if you remember, Hamilton on the softs compared to Vettel on the ultra softs, but this time round, in the game at least, at Azerbaijan, the medium tyre choice is not being the correct one, and so much so that this is Jolyon Palmer in a Renault overtaking Lewis Hamilton in a Mercedes for third place. Yes, I did just say that. Jolyon Palmer is up into third place of this Grand Prix. Obviously, it can't be Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg's way down the order, and he's actually behind me on lap 25 now. He's actually caught up to us. That's how much pace the Renault has around this track at the moment in P8. Then Hülkenberg has caught back that time, and he's looking to maybe overtake me and spoil my party in P7. And you can see we have a bit of engine wear on the heads-up display, so my engine is not performing at the optimum anyway, you know, let alone the pace of the Renault engine. And so now going down the main straight, which is essentially pretty much F1's equivalent to a motorway, is Hülkenberg now has passed us on the left-hand side. We're back in the slipstream then as he sparks away. We send it down the inside, lock up on the left front, little bit of contact made there, and we're going to try and have to dive this down the inside, maybe of turn 2 on the last lap of the Grand Prix. We go for it, lock up again on the left front as we go over the curbing, little bit of a waggle of the tail and the rear end as we get a snap of oversteer, manage to control it, get back in the slipstream of Hülkenberg, then try and find the pace. We've got DRS, rich mix blowing. Hülkenberg defends to the inside there. He's locked up, I've locked up, and he's sent us wide, and we are nearly off on the circuit, and we just about managed to navigate that wall and not hit our front wing on it. But Hülkenberg locking up at the same time as me, and due to Hülkenberg's lock up, he went a lot deeper than I needed him to go deep, because I was trying to feed it around the outside, and he essentially, you know, probably not his fault, cut me off there. But That's a little bit controversial, a little bit tasty between two former teammates then. So, yeah, thanks, Nico. Thanks for that. So we're down to P8 then. And, Sebastian Vettel has won this Grand Prix from Kimi Räikkönen to, again, Jolyon Palmer in P3. Less said about that, the better. Vettel winning the Azerbaijan Grand Prix then. And so that's 25 points in the back for the German, and us down in P8 with 4 points. It actually means we're now level on points. So once again, just like at Bahrain, if you remember, I tied Nico Hülkenberg for points at Bahrain after that race. Now at Azerbaijan, myself and Vettel are tying points. Kimi Räikkönen moves up into 3rd place. Hülkenberg in 4th now, but you can see the top 3 getting ever closer. But Hülkenberg's just about hanging on there, so it could be a top 4 fight for the Drivers' Championship at this rate. But you can see Ferrari back into the lead of the constructors then. Red Bull back down to 2nd, but obviously we can try and come back. This definitely was probably one of the worst races we'll have, probably along with Monza. But you must say, by the time we get to Monza, maybe we have some engine upgrades, because that is going to be the upgrade. Speaking about upgrades to the engine, that's actually going to be the next upgrade I'm going to do. I'm going to do the next minor powertrain upgrade then, and we're going to try and boost our engine power. And so, as I was saying, by the time we get to Monza, maybe that won't be so bad. So this may be literally the worst race we have this season. And to say that, you know, the first 7 episodes, as I mentioned, our car's been performing amazingly, and we're still, well, we're level with the Drivers' Championship, and we're yet to get a win in this season. Whereas Hülkenberg's had 2, I think Vettel has had 2 as well, and we've had 0. We've had 0 wins, and still we're level on the championship. So we have been so consistent, and we're doing, well, in my opinion, a really great job still at the moment in the Drivers' Championship and the constructors as well, because Ricciardo has seemingly just about been matching us as well since around episode number 4 of round number 4 of this season. So guys, anyway, if you have enjoyed this episode, smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been Aarava. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.